Okay, testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing. Today is June, the first day of spring or fall. It is the third. It is September the 22nd, 2025. It's 10:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's New York time. And I'm going to call this live rant in private mode, not private, but I'm going to release this afterwards. The left and right, and how brilliant the elites are. And I want to talk about this. I actually made this audio yesterday, but I wasn't paying attention, and I had to erase basically nothing because what happened was the audio got muted on accident. I muted the audio, so I want to talk about Charlie Kirk real quick here, and how destructive he really was. Basically, everyone talks about Charlie Kirk and how he united the youth and got the left together. This shows you how undiscerning young people and some old people my age really are. They just listen to the media and they hear, oh my God, Charlie Kirk, he's uniting the left or he's uniting the right and bringing back moral values and everything. And he was a fraud. He was financed by tens of millions of dollars by very high finance people, like people in the government, people in the insurance industry, people in Israel, Israeli foreign lobby. I mean, like every special interest group that could use the dupe was able to use him. So I want to get into this real quick because it falls into the title of this video called The Left and the Right and how brilliant the elites are. Because I don't know if you guys remember, and I know Charlie Kirk was around. I wasn't watching his videos then, but you guys remember how when the George Floyd riots happened, even leading up to that, how the left was the so-called left. I don't know even know what that means anymore. But you had, first of all, you go back to already the Occupy Wall Street movement, which was 2011. That's when Tim Pool apparently got his big fame and fortune when he started out that way. He's a controlled operative too, by the way. Um, but Tim Pool was, you saw how they had kind of united the left and the right together. And this was like right before the cell phone, the social media became a big thing in the really fancy cell phone. I had a 2011 model Android that I had gotten in the year 2015, and it was already outdated. But I remember the apps were just getting real popular around 2011, 2012. And before you could live stream, Tim Pool did this. I guess his claim to fame was he was able to live stream the whole event and I'd love to see video of that, by the way, that when people were actually coming together and they were able to get the right and the left to agree that the rich control the powerful elites and these venture capitalists and all these nameless, faceless people, and no, they're not all part of a tribe from the shtetls of Eastern Europe. I know you guys don't want to blame it's just one group doing it. It's multiple factors. There's people, in all around the world in all walks of life with these interests, which is venture capitalists. And so these venture capitalists are running things, and then you get uh, Tim Pool does his thing. I guess that's how he got famous, and of course he got intercepted in between that time, up until now. Basically, it was the idea that we're going to unite the left and the right together and talk about one common cause, and that was basically that the left and the right both have to come together because it's Wall Street that's running the show, and it's true. And it kind of it fizzled out. What they did was they took the Tea Party and these fringe movements that would have united people on both spectrums, and they inserted their operative. I remember the Tea Party, they inserted Sarah Palin as their spokesperson slash leader, who had nothing to do with the Tea Party, but somehow they managed to get her in there. And they said she's the voice of the Tea Party. I mean, she's as radically, well, she's stupid, number one. She had a low IQ, but she also was not a representative of the party to begin with. So she was just part of the corporate machine, and you haven't heard from her in years. I mean, she's kind of just disappeared off the face of the map and stuff. But anyway, so you had Sarah Palin, and then they kind of just went through a phase in the 2000s from 2012 or 13 up until this point where we've gone a long time, man. It's hard to believe. It's a lot of things happened personally in my life at that time, namely my mother getting sick and my just a lot of weird things happened in that time. But I know that By 2020, we're talking 7, 8 years later, they had succeeded in completely militarizing the left to basically move so far that they're demanding control of free speech. Now that's weird, isn't it? During the George Floyd riots, they wanted to not only confiscate guns, but the left wanted to make it illegal for anybody on the internet with a right-wing point of view to have free speech. And of course, the elites are always in the background here. They're always in the background, but it's like we're seeing these operatives coming out. Censor the media now. It becomes the left becomes no censorship to censorship, and then here we are, and I'm oversimplifying this. Here we are in the modern times now, and we've had years of Charlie Kirk, the late Charlie Kirk, as of September the 10th when he died, assassinated mysteriously still, and we have a situation now where the right is now changing the narrative. Now, I don't believe the right is changing the narrative. I think that the elites are changing the narrative. And what they're doing is they're flip-flopping this, and they're saying, they're giving us this false narrative. Okay. And the narrative is basically that we need to censor. Now the right believes in censorship completely. I mean, we're talking draconian censorship. Now the left is scrambling, saying that we don't believe in censorship, and the right is saying we need to only censor people. And what is happening is the elites are playing a power play, and they've done a brilliant job of it, because what Charlie Kirk has succeeded at doing was keeping the distraction going. Okay, so I remember in 2011, there was this lady, this German American woman she had her own podcast or videos, and she used to always complain about the US government and everything. And then she was one of these typical somebody needs to do something about this, but she herself wouldn't. She was in her 60s, and she's like, well, when is anybody going to do something? In other words, she wants somebody to react and start a war, but she doesn't want to do it. It's kind of one of these we need to go to war type of people. But there was something she said in the video one time. She goes, I can't believe we're in the year 2011, and here we are talking about abortion. Now, let me think about that a second. Even in the year 2011, the subject of abortion was getting pretty freaking old. We already established Roe versus Wade. We'd established that, yes, from a practical standpoint, it's murder. We had established that it shouldn't be used as a convenience to just, oh, I was irresponsible last night, and a month later, I'm going to get abortion. But we also respect a woman's right to choose, because it's too heated of an issue. So we've stuck with the abortion issue. And in 2011, I was sick of hearing about abortion. Let's teleport to 2024, 2022, 23, 24. Charlie Kirk is just talking about abortion. It's a child. The Bible said this. The Bible says that. Blah, 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 blah. And then you get these so-called pseudo-articulate college students. College students, I hate this about college students. And I'm talking left, right, I don't care what. Young people always have a very good way of articulating. This is a pet peeve I have of mine. That nice Jewish girl is very articulate. That nice little Iraqi boy is very articulate. That white Caucasian boy is very articulate. That, these college kids are all articulate, but articulate doesn't mean anything. And I'll tell you why it doesn't. Because we're talking in 2025, 24, 23 of the same issues. We're talking about the abortion issue all over again. Every year, it's the abortion issue. The abortion issue. What are we going to do about the abortion, a woman's right to choose? And while they're doing this, and Charlie Kirk was part of this plot, whether he realized it or not, is the abortion issue is just a distraction. Okay? It's a distraction from the hostile takeover of the elites. The same thing with arguing about, this is another pet peeve of mine, black crime statistics. These are talking points from 1977, 1979, 1985, 1989, 1993. Pick your year. Black males commit more crime and such. And all he did was regurgitate the same crap over and over to a young audience, coming from a young guy. Charlie Kirk was a bozo. And this is how these elites, hence the title of my video here, my audio rant, The Brilliance of the Elites, is how they go ahead and they do this crap. What they're able to do is get younger people who are well-meaning people on board with what is happening. Let's take the blacks and whites and get them together on some common ground issues here. Now, just hear me out here. By the way, I'm not going facial today because I'm not working today, and I'm not going facial because I didn't shower, so I'm trying to be clean here. Okay, I got to get my hair's messy. Okay, so I'm going to get into this issue here because it's really getting on my freaking nerves. Okay, let's look at what we have in common. We have unaffordable housing. Black people, white people, Asian people, East Indian people, it's unaffordable. BlackRock, Blackstone, whatever the company's called, bought up residential properties. They own like 30 to 35% of the residential properties are owned by Blackstone. The other day, I got a text on my phone saying, "Hey, mister, do you want to sell your house? You want to sell your house?" Like, where the freaking hell am I going to move, moron? The last thing you need to do if you got a low interest rate or you own a house is to sell the damn thing, unless you're paying 18% interest, which you'd only have to do that if you did that on a credit card. So I guess somebody's selling me housing is unaffordable, and it may not go down in price. Even with low interest rates, it may not crash again because venture capitalists bought it all up. And this is another thing. Okay, so we got unaffordable housing. We have universal unaffordable health care. The only thing universal about healthcare in America is it's unaffordable. We have unaffordable healthcare, which affects black people, brown people, every color of the rainbow. You have runaway inflation, which affects almost everybody of every economic group. Even the rich have to deal with it, but not as bad. You have just a complete destruction of the infrastructure, potholes in the roads. If you lived in East Cleveland, Ohio, they had to install traffic cameras for poor black people so that they could raise money to fix the city. And this was years ago, but it's still a hellhole there. You can look it up. East Cleveland's one of the top 10 most infrastructurally needed city in the country. The name of the city is called East Cleveland. That's actually the name of the city, East Cleveland, not the east side of Cleveland, but East Cleveland. So just like East St. Louis. So you got East Cleveland, you got these things going on with the infrastructure. You got unaffordable you got runaway inflation, unaffordable housing, unaffordable health care. These are all the issues that could have united everybody. And Charlie Kirk, all he's farting around with is talking about how we need to talk about the abortion issue. We need to polarize people. And then they get the dumb bimbo girl up on the stimbo who's very articulate. She's so articulate. She's getting her degree at Harvard. She's very articulate. These people don't understand. Oh, I forgot to mention unaffordable schooling. I met this Jewish girl probably 12 years ago online one time, and she was like in her late 30s. She had $240,000 in student loans from a philosophy or a psychology degree or master. She got a PhD in all this nonsense. I mean, I don't know why anybody would put themselves basically a life sentence, $250,000. There's no incentive to pay off. It's insane. So anyways, yeah. So schooling is unaffordable. Housing is unaffordable. Healthcare is unaffordable. These are all things that could unite the left and the right. And what does Charlie Kirk do with this brainwashing bullshit? He goes out there and he starts to sick. Oh, the left is the problem. The left is the problem. We need to become Republicans. Yeah, we need to stay Republicans so that we can have unaffordable housing. We can have all this shit. We can take your benefits away. That's another thing. The Republican Party is stealing your benefits. These dumb, pardon my language, but redneck hillbillies that live south of the Mason-Dixon line, and here in Ohio even, they all voted for Trump. Trump country. Okay, Trump is taking away their Social Security benefits or their a lot of your I mean, here's another universal thing that people are all victims of is you're going to eventually need Medicaid or Medicare, and he's going to take away from that too. So really, they have succeeded in dividing. Now they're talking about, that before the crash happens, they're going to probably already consolidate the laws. They're going to get rid of the First Amendment, then the Second Amendment. The whole thing's going to be a ton of bricks coming down. We've seen all the crap going on. But the right was successful, or the elites are successful at pitting these two factions together, when in reality, black men and white men have more in common. First of all, let me get some things straight about the whole Charlie Kirk nonsense. Okay. Charlie Kirk, he pointed out that 80% of crimes are committed by black men. Oh, really? Well, there's this thing called poverty and discrimination. Okay, I know people don't want to hear this, but here's another thing. It's such an old talking point. We keep talking about it, okay? It's like, it reminds me of a guy that tried to pick a fight with you at the grocery store 20 years ago. And you keep bringing it up every often. Like every couple of years, you bring it up and you talk about how this guy tried to start a fight with you one time, and you cut in the line on accident, and he started getting belligerent with you, and it was maybe traumatizing to you. And you keep bringing it up and bringing it up and bringing it up and saying, fuck, that guy's probably dead by now. Who knows where he's at? And yet you keep bringing it up. Well, it's the same thing with the black crime rate. Okay, we know because of poverty and because of racial discrimination and because of the fact black men are statistically more apt to get ridiculous prison sentences for the same bullshit, like, I was driving across state lines with a .38 revolver that had a trigger lock in the trunk of the car, and now because you're black, you get hit with federal transportation over border charges. It's insane. I have no black guy that had that happen to him. I had a lot of black students when I used to teach in a trade school, and I ran into this all the time. So here's my point here, and I'm going to make this clear here. We don't need to keep talking about old talking points. We need to unite on what the elites don't want people to, and I don't think we can do it for several reasons. Number one, the Generation Y or Generation Z, and then the upcoming Generation Alpha, they're way too small. They're not going to be enough people to really fight this thing. I don't know. The Republicans, I think they want to turn America into a Brazil, where you got this elite group of whites and Jays in power in the top 10%, and you're going to have a mongrelized 90% of the population that's going to do all the dirty work and keep the infrastructure together. It seems where it's going. I mean, it's nobody can predict where the future goes, but these idiots that listen to Charlie Kirk and say, oh, he's so right about everything, all he's doing is regurgitating shit we talked about 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. Nothing is new. He is such a bozo. He was a used clown. Oh, but he's so articulate. He's so articulate. He can respond really fast. He can fire off answers like as if he hasn't been sitting in a room being trained for that crap. Charlie Kirk was a freaking moron. He was a used paid shill. And when they were done with him, they said, okay, now enough is enough. Maybe he was putting the pieces together. You know, the rumor is that maybe Charlie Kirk was figuring out that we need to unite the left and the right. And maybe we should be more critical of a certain country in the Middle East that we give all our money to that are committing mass murder. Maybe we should. And maybe he was. Okay, it's almost like a useless dupe that it's time to get rid of. But we see this time and again. Nothing changes. The left and the right are not united, and the brilliance of the elite are that they know how to play us off on each other. They understand that there's a new generation that don't understand these subjects, and they keep regurgitating the abortion issue, the abortion issue, the abortion issue. What are we going to do about the abortion issue? A woman's right to choose. We've already established it. Women can choose pretty freely what they want to do. Why do we have to sit there and say, yes, but there's this small county in Ohio I can't move to and get a convenient abortion, so we need to just go to New York. Get the damn thing done in New York. Go to California. Go to a lot of states. Almost every state in the union has access to abortion. If you live in a state that has gotten rid of abortion, then fly to a state that doesn't have it. Okay, we don't need to keep regurgitating the same subject over and over and over again. We need to be driven by what brings people together. And that's my rant about this. The name of this video is The Left and the Right and How Brilliant the Elites Are, is that the left and the right really cannot get it together and come to common grounds, and that the elites just keep playing this off. Charlie Kirk was an invention. He's like J.D. Vance. He was created to get the young right-wing people together so that they could pretend that things are, we need to now go to the right and take your rights away at the same time. And we need to get rid of that pesky First and Second Amendment. And we need to do all this stuff. We need to get rid of your rights to do anything. This is how they play you off. I had way more intelligence on my pinky finger than Charlie Kirk did. Charlie Kirk only had potential. He still couldn't figure out who his handlers were. He still couldn't figure out, if this guy was so intelligent, why is he regurgitating talking points that I talked about and people talked about before he was even born? And he's acting like he discovered something? Like, are you people that stupid? Like Charlie Kirk is, oh, he's so smart. He's so articulate. Look at that college girl. She's so articulate. All he did was argue with young idiots that cannot put the pieces together. They don't understand how deep these conspiracies go. And on a talking point, and I'll talk about this in another video. I'm not going to talk about this right now because I don't want to segue into other issues. The bottom line is that Charlie Kirk did nothing, and that the left and the right are being sicked up against each other, and the elites are just laughing because this is what they do. They're consolidating power now. The banks are going to start closing down. You're not going to get into your 401k. You're not going to be able to leave the country. You're going to have all kinds of weird, you're going to have a social credit system like the world's never seen. This is where it's going. And then they're going to kill the homeless. And don't say, well, I got that option. I can just become homeless. They're going after the homeless. The next thing they're going to do is restrict movement within the country. And then it'll be within the county. Then they're going to tag people. I see tagging people. I see, if your social credit is low enough, they're going to tag people. They're just going to tag you. They already tagged you now with your cell phone. You can throw that thing in the garbage if you want to, but eventually they're going to tag you with the chip. That's where they're going with this. And they're going to unite the left. You know, they're going to make the left be the big proponent of it now. Now, right now, the left would be against tagging people. Now, the left, they're just going to play this game back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, just like they did with the George Floyd thing. The left wanted censorship. Now the left wants their rights back. It's just a brilliant power play that the elites do. And it's amazing. You got to give these people credit. You have got to give these venture capitalists and these people are demonic geniuses. And one last thing I'll say, I had a discussion with a guy not too long ago about this. This is a spiritual war. I don't believe this is just a physical war like the communists believe, like during Russian communism, it was all a big physical war. This is a spiritual war. What happened in Russia during the Bolshevik Revolution was more damage was done to Russia under communism than the Tsar could have ever done. And we'll talk about that another time, but you guys have a great day.